SARS workers say they will no longer sign multi-year agreements, delivering their memorandum of demands at Treasury's offices. The workers insist that they want a 12% wage increase for this year and come back to the negotiating table next year for another possible increase. Let's get you a live update from our reporter Kopano Gumbi, who's been tracking the demonstration in Tshwane. Kopano, what is the issue, according to SARS workers, with multi-year agreements, and why was National Treasury the destination for their march?
It is an interesting departure, that position that they've taken here, the union saying that they're no longer willing to accept multi-year agreements. As we know, in all wage negotiations, that is really the standard, be it in the mining sector, as we understand it, or here in public sector. We know that more often than not, people sign multi-year agreements, but they say they've gotten the short end of the stick when it comes to these agreements. The last time that they went to the negotiating table with SARS, they signed a 3-year agreement. They only got 2 years of the 3 years. In the third year, they were cut, their increases were cut in half. And so they're saying no more of that. They've learned their lesson. They've had their fingers burned by that experience. And so they're no longer willing to do that. The march here has now come to an end. National Treasury was one of the points because SARS had indicated that the Treasury did not allocate it enough money to introduce these increases. And so they really came to the National Treasury today to say to them, you have to give us more money. We are the workers that have saved you 16.7 billion rand, given the country its first budget surplus from revenue collection in over a decade. And so we are asking for what is due to us. Fees from 2019, or generally just lifestyle increases. They're asking for some benefits for their families, housing allowances, etc. All of those are on the table from this memorandum that they were given. Disappointed, I must tell you, Tembegile, that the unions were disappointed with who it was from the National Treasury that came to receive their memorandum, saying it wasn't a senior enough member of either the Minister's office or the DG's office. They were received by a DDG in corporate services. That was the only person available today, but many of the people at Treasury are working from home, and so it wasn't likely that they were going to find a senior member of Treasury here at Tembegile. Edward Kisweta also not available. He is apparently traveling and so was not able to receive their memorandum when they first went to the Brooklyn SARS head office earlier in the morning. But as it stands right now, they've given both parties 7 days to respond, to National Treasury and SARS, 7 days to respond to their demands, and we wait to hear how that unfolds.
But Kopano, what are the chances of a favorable outcome, given that the employer has already said there is no money for salary increases, and National Treasury, just speaking broadly, has said that one of the things that were in fact quite contentious in the public sector was what government says is a need to cut the public sector wage bill?
Absolutely. It's been one of the key points for National Treasury, saying they have to reduce the public sector wage bill. It takes up 1/3 of government spending goes to how much they pay people that work in the public service. It really is up to government at this point to decide whether they can afford to renege on their promise to South Africans as well as to our regulators, our ratings agencies, I should say, who they've committed to having 0% increases, and that affects the sovereignty and our balance sheet. But it really is up to government to decide how they want to see this process proceed, given that they have the power to decide on some kind of an increase. But it really, as I said, it depends on whether the government find any more money. We already know that they've had some extraneous spending, the floods most recently, over R1 billion being dedicated to that, but we know multi-billions needed. And so there's lots of support that is needed throughout various sectors of the economy, and public sector wages may not fit that bill just yet, Tembegile. But we will know in October at the medium-term budget policy statement. Usually that give us an indication there of whether or not they can afford to introduce any kind of public sector increases.
Kopano Gumbi, thank you very much for that update from the capital, Pretoria.